Here's the truth. So, obviously, I'm the spiritual accountant, and I like one of the most agitating things that I say is that, manifestation is fluff, or that affirmations, you can't just sit there and affirm and da da da. So I kind of like love to dispel the myths, but I want to actually speak to it a bit deeper for people because it's not completely poo-pooing it. And I guess when I am trying to bust those kind of myths, I'm speaking to the people that have spent years in affirmation work, in manifestation work. They've spent thousands on different workshops and courses. And, whilst there's definitely, a level of growth, there does come a point where you rise above that. You go beyond that. And I don't want to completely negate all of the manifestation principles because they're absolutely needed. And when I was sitting with it, I was sitting with like, what it is, manifestation, when people are doing these manifestation things. And I look back at my own journey and when I was in the space of affirming my best life, even though what I was living was a complete shit show, right? And it actually comes from the space of desire. It comes from the space of wanting better, realizing that your life is not what you thought it would be, realizing that your life or your business or your money it's just like the hamster wheel. It's just rinse and repeat, feast and famine, or just trying to, so we step into these self-development or spiritual development spaces because we hope for something better. And that is so important because you need hope, especially now. Like, especially now when we are in a time of recession and everyone is struggling, because hope is that little glimmer of something more. So when I say like manifestation's not going to drive your results, it's not that it doesn't. It is the basis to wanting different results. But there comes a time where you've got to go, well, how do I take this to the next level? And that's where the practicalities come into it. Because yes, you can do those manifestation practices and those affirmations and I love money and money loves me. All of that is so needed because it gets you out of a funk. It changes your state. That hope of something better isn't a belief yet. It's like faith. Faith is a deeper level of a belief, right? But it starts with hope. So there is a journey of the awakening, a journey of that ascension. And it's like I see a lot of people moving into more deeper embodiment work because they've lived all of that manifestation fluff and they're looking for the next level. But I don't want it to get lost. I don't want the goodness of that work to be lost on people because there's still people that are just waking up that need that. They need that hope. They need that desire. But if you look at desire on the emotional spectrum, it's still on the lower end, right? So when you're in a space of desire, things are still outside of you. So that moving into higher states is realizing that nothing is outside of you. So while we can affirm these things and we can, manifest these things, like if you think about it, like manifestation is the imagination, right? It's you imagining what a different life would look like. It's you imagining what a different business would look like. It's you imagining how you want to be in the world. So it is a basis for that future because the future will never be that unless you first imagine it, unless you first create it and conjure that for yourself. But what happens is people then get stuck in that manifestation. They get stuck in the clouds. They get stuck in those visualizations. They're always in the future. They're always outside of themselves. They're always, you're not ready yet or you're not there yet. So, when you're looking at money in a physical and practical sense, and you're manifesting and it's outside of yourself, it's never actually going to land because you're not acknowledging who you are and what you currently have and what you can provide and what you can do and how you be now. And I think that's the gap. The practical nature of manifestation is the realization that you have things already available to you. You have skills, you have talents, you have passions, you have ideas. There are opportunities every day. You're just not open to them. So when I'm working with people, I want to open you not just to the hope that is inside of you and the faith of more, but the reality of the opportunities that are currently present now. And then how you can work with that. Because if you're going to move into a space of abundance and a space of thriving, it's because you see all of this potential. You see the innovations, you see the opportunity, you see the gaps, you see the challenges. You're like looking and responding to it, not just taking a back seat and going, I'm going to do all my mirror work and my affirmations and I'm going to journal, 3 books of intentions and then not do anything with it. Because the universe is always responding, always responding. So when things are not working, right? So when things are not working, it's not because you don't deserve, or it's not because you don't have, it's not because you're necessarily out of alignment. You're just not listening close enough because it's in the co-creation, right? Life is co-creating with you to achieve that abundance. There's so much abundance always, but it's how are you working with life to create that for yourself. And sometimes what you need to do is actually just stop, which feels so counterintuitive. So then the why, right? So why is this conversation important right now? Oh, yes, I'm going to tell you why. Right. This conversation is so important right now because when you stop and when you listen, you're going to connect with the truth of what you're here to do. Because a lot of people go into businesses. Okay, there's two types of people. People that go into business to make money and people that go into business because they're passionate. And passion is attached to that desire, is attached to that hope, right? But hope and desire and passion don't make profit, don't equal profit. So we've got to mix a bit of the two, right? And a lot of people have gone into different businesses because they just want to make money. And a lot of people, they make decisions on what they do based on how much money they will or they won't get. That's not going to work anymore. We are seeing huge shifts in the economy, huge shifts in biopsychology. People are literally going to be so frugal with their money and they are going to be considering their purchase decisions a lot more. And What is going to stand out from the rest is value for money because things are more expensive. So, what is in line with price increases is added value. So, you can create a product or a service just to make money, but if you're passionate about it and you care about it and you live and breathe it, and there's a deeper like pull in that business of just wanting to do better, wanting to give more, wanting to be excellent, that is what is going to make the value of your business better. Let me try and break this down. I'll give you a tangible example. You've got two businesses. I'm going to use my mole man as an example, right? You got a mole man, and you've got on one side, you've got a mole man that books you in, is consistent, consistently shows up, comes and gets it done, and does a really good job and has really great communication, builds rapport, and might charge you just a little bit more. But because you've got that rapport, the relationship, he always shows up and he does the job beautifully. I'm going to spend my money on that. Then you've got mole man number two over here, who's in fight or flight survival. He's got a couple of boys with him as well. He's just trying to make ends meet, smash out as many jobs as he can, right? So it's sporadic. You don't know if he's going to come or when he's going to come. And sometimes he'll say he's going to come and then he doesn't come. Or sometimes he says he's going to come and someone else shows up. And then bits get missed, mess gets left behind, and it's just a little bit cheaper. So there's this element of how much money we're spending. Do you want the cheap and you're going to get shit? Or do you want to spend a bit more and know that, well, you know who's coming, there's safety, you know the job gets done, and there's rapport, and there's like this connection element is so important in a business, and especially moving into the future, because that's what's going to stand out amongst the crowd because people have had jack of just paying for a product or service and getting subpar. I don't know about you, but when I go out into the world, the customer service is so fucking shit. I'll tell you, I needed to get a new pair of shoes. I haven't bought a pair of shoes in a really long time. And I just needed a pair of comfortable shoes. And I went to the shoe shop, and treatment like this has happened many a times in the recent times. And this is just one example. I walked into the shop, I was looking, the lady in the shoe shop didn't even acknowledge me, didn't even look at me, didn't even say hello. And I was like, that's all right. I know what I'm looking for. It's just palm that off. Then I picked out the shoe that I want, but it wasn't my size. Hey, have you got this in a size 8? She's looked up at me and she's like, yep, I'll just go get it out the back. I'm like, cool, that was nice enough. Like, not really, oh, hey, sure, yeah, I can help you. Like, no problem. 1 minute. It was just like matter of fact. And then she went out the back, got the shoe. Instead of bringing me the shoe, she put it on the front counter and then expected me to walk to the counter to go get the shoe and then try it on my, like, holy shit, the amount of laziness in that. And then there's so many stories. I'm sure like, comment below. I bet you've had the experiences, in retail, in food, like in this service. So, and I don't know whether it's a generational thing. I'm not going to go into that, but I what I real while I was feeling into it the other day, I was like, this is actually, it's not that people are lazy. It's that with this cost of living crisis and the price of everything and the absolute pittance people get paid, they just don't care. They really don't care. We went to the VR experience. I probably mentioned this in another podcast. And the poor guy, he was run off his feet because he had staff that didn't show up. And he was a staff member, but he cared and you could tell. And like care factor is so huge. You know, whether it's yourself or your staff, care factor is huge. And anyway, he thanked us for being so patient. And he just like off the cuff said, "Oh, yeah, everyone's called in sick. And, I called some people to come in and help. And, one of the chicks said, Oh, nah, I can't come in. I'm eating my breakfast." I'm like, are you kidding? Like, so this is the value, right? This is how people perceive their value. They would rather sit and have their breakfast than go and work and get paid to work because it's such a pittance, right? So then the care factor comes from the passion. The care factor comes from wanting to do better, wanting to serve better, wanting to be better, and as it gets more stressful and more cooked, there's that favorite word again, out there, I'm telling you, it's better for you because now the bar is so low that it doesn't take much to exceed that bar and exceed that expectation. So bringing the passion and the care factor into your business is going to literally change your bottom line. You just got to care a little more. You just got to try a little harder. You've just got to do a little bit more. So when I look at my business, I don't go, when I'm, looking at price points and things like that, I don't just go, oh, slap on a price. I assess the market. I assess my value. I assess people's buying behavior. And then I'm like, well, how much value can I add to this so that people, and it's not just like I know in the old, like couple of years back in the coaching spaces, it's like value stack, value stack, value stack. And I take that very literally because I'm like, I'm not just going to value stack, I'm actually going to give the fucking value behind what I'm stacking. So people can see that you're going to get this. And it just above and beyond. It's not hard. It's not hard. So it's important to look at your business from this perspective because when you then mix that passion, that desire, that hope, that dream, that vision with the practical value that you're putting behind it, this is where you're going to drive more result. Because when I say that money has no energy, money has no frequency, you're the frequency, you're the currency. And what you put into your business and the value that you put into your business, that's the currency because it comes from you. So if you're the currency and you're the value and you have these hopes and dreams and desires, we can then try and extract that value out of you to bring it into your business to increase it. Okay, so your value is not just who you are, right? Who you are plays a massive role. I think people like to deal with businesses that they know you, they feel you, they like you, there's rapport there. So who you are as a person adds value, right? So how you converse with people, how you relate with people, how you know portray yourself, right? And that's an important value to bring to the business. But then it also extends to your skills. So, what skills do you have that maybe you're not bringing into your business that you could, right? Maybe there's things that you've learned from previous businesses or previous jobs or previous experiences that is just forgotten. I remember I sat with one of my clients and she felt like she had no value to bring at all. She wanted to create a business. And I said, great, let's extract your value. And it took, I think, the start of the conversation, she was of the firm belief she had no value. And by the end of it, she was like, wow, Abby, I can't believe that was all just sitting inside of me and I had no idea. I said, honey, you've got a lifetime of value. That's your intellectual property that you have inside of you, that we can monetize it in a very ethical way. And then we started with one product, and I think she ended up with six. She just went on this massive creative streak. And I was like, fucking love you. That's amazing. It just started with one little, it was like I found that thread and I just pulled it. And then with that thread came all these other threads. It was beautiful to witness. So there's value that you could be using, but then there's value that you have that you could be completely forgetting about. But then it's not just that either, right? It's your passions, your skills, and your passions. What are you passionate about? And passionate businesses are the future. There is a surge. I'm feeling it. This surge is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. More and more people are moving into different spaces. And if you can see it, you know what I'm talking about. There's so much opportunity. There is so much opportunity right now. That's another podcast. Maybe I can speak to those opportunities. But if you're not seeing those opportunities right now, then there's a shift in perception that's required. There's plenty of gaps that need to be filled right now. All you got to do is listen to people, listen to what they're saying, listen to how they're feeling. That's the best thing that you could ever do in your business, right? Is listening. Everyone's so quick to want to get on the soapbox and say, I can do this and I can do that and I've got this and I've got that. And meanwhile, I'm over here and I'm just watching, listening. Because when you listen, you can pick up on the cues. So there's all the surface stuff, right? And the surface stuff is like the noise. So when you listen, we're going to the deeper stuff, and that deeper stuff is the undercurrents of society, of what's actually happening. So the surface is like all the noise in the media and the hype and the fuel and the cost of living crisis and pain, 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 struggle, struggle, struggle. But underneath the undercurrents, well, let's look at it. People are getting lazy, not intentionally, consciously or unconsciously. Why are they getting lazy? Well, they're getting a pittance. So, I mean, what if there was a way that they could make more than what minimum wage was? Oh, well, there is. We've just got to listen. We got to look at skills, skill sets. We got to open a door of possibility. We got to open up that heart and find those passions. Because I'm telling you, when you're passionate about something, you show up for it day in, day out. Doesn't matter what gets thrown your way. If you're passionate, you're still there, you're still going. And that's, I think, what people are yearning for. The old ways dying, jobs dying, certain types of businesses, I'll call them 3D businesses, dying. People are being called into more. So that little calling piece of like, oh, I hate my job. I don't even feel like going. I'd rather stay here and eat my breakfast than go and work in a job that I fucking hate. Or, you know, I started this business and I started it from a place of passion, but I've lost the passion and now I just feel like I'm burnt out serving clients and bending to the whim of every staff member. Like, I lost something, got a little bit muddy along the way, or maybe the fear crept in over time. Fear and your passions cannot coexist at the same time. When you're in fear over something, you cannot be passionate. I look at the times that I've dropped into fear, and fear makes you question your passion and doubt yourself. But when you connect to your passion and to your legacies and to your dreams and to your manifestations and to the life that you want to create, there is no room for fear. And this is, I shared a post a while ago. I think it was 2026. The vibe for 2026. Delulu is the Salulu. It was a little cat meme. I loved it. I fucking loved it. And I don't think people realize that's what is actually being asked of us, to be a little delusional, because what people need and what people want right now doesn't exist, and it requires people who are fucking out of this world to create it. And that's what excites me. I used to, well, I still, let's be real, get told I'm delusional, I'm crazy, I'm this, I'm that. Like the hate, it's ever present. It never goes away. And it's because I stand for something. And it's so fucking delusional that it triggers people. And it doesn't matter what I do, I always drive myself with that passion of what I want to create in this world. And it comes out in everything I do and everything I say. And I get called all sorts of names for that because it triggers them. Because those people are triggered because they see how passionate I am and how much I care and how much I fight and how much courage it's taken and how much, and maybe some small little place inside of them is like, fuck, I wish I could do that. Or they're driving a bus that isn't theirs. Because when you create something that is yours, like when you create something that comes from you, it comes from your value, it comes from source, it comes from your innovation, your creation, your ideas, like it doesn't matter. A million people could copy it, but it's never going to be you. And this is what I'm saying, like those two mole men, right? Yeah, mowing. They're both mowing businesses. But old mate over here, he gives a shit. Old mate over here, he's struggling and he's just trying to feed his family. He's lost his passion. Passion is what gets us up in the morning. Passion doesn't always equal profit, but when you mix passion with really good visibility, metrics, statistics, you can move so effortlessly if you're smart about it because the business is an asset. But you got to have the confidence to take the action, right? Because when we bring this passion into your business and your value, your currency, you're into it, your business becomes an asset that pays dividends. Not literally, but there are ways that you can benefit from this and not just benefit once by making one sale, but it's a continuous, right? I talk about conscious marketing vortex, start to end. But the notion of when you've got that truth the whole way along, that then builds a reputation, that then builds an identity, and then that does the marketing. Like it's the waves, it's the ripples. And then you don't have to do a thing. And that's the asset. You're the asset for this. So a business is a most valuable asset, but how you show up in that business and what you do with that business, what your skills are, what your talents are, what your leadership is, how you manage your staff, how you nurture your clients, how you speak to people that aren't going to buy from you. That's a good test. How do you treat people that aren't going to buy from you? Yeah, it's who you are as a person. Yeah, your leadership, your compassion, your empathy, your ability to take accountability and your level of responsibility. You pass the buck. All of these things add that value. So when you're manifesting your desires or when you're hoping for a different life, yes, start there. Look outside of yourself. Use your imagination, but then bring it back to you. And it's a beautiful balance of the two because it's universe and you, it's source and you, it's soul and you, it's life and you. And as women, I think we have such a power inside of us. We multiply. We're multipliers of all sorts of different things. We can take something and turn it in to something else. That's what we birth, we create, we bring life. So why can't we do the same in our businesses? Create and multiply. I think that, people that are struggling with their cash flow, there's a little bit of, yeah, structure issues. And I think that the way most people have been taught money and finances is backwards. So I teach the truth. Like I like to teach the truth about money and how you can manage cash flow, and it's not cookie cutter. So it takes us 4 days to work through that. But then once you've got that structure in place, you then free up your capacity to start thinking bigger and start thinking beyond. So the whole point is to get out of that survival state so you can open your mind to more. So it starts with metrics. But then there's a lot of businesses that are pretty good with their metrics, but they might feel like they're in just stuck in the grind. So that's where, the space and the listening can really help. And that's why I do my immersion. Some of the most magical things happen when you take yourself out of life, out of the noise, out of the busyness, learn a thing or two, but then open yourself up to the truth of what's really there for you. I open my immersions with the most important day of your life is the day that you were born, but the second most important day of your life is the day that you learn why. So I teach people how we can get to that why, because that's the passion. And then you use that passion as your driver. Passion alone doesn't make profit, but it will make you profitable and sustainable for the foreseeable future in this current economic climate. You need it.